Now, before we go on any further, US President Joe Biden met with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, held bilaterals on key issues, including expanding Japanese military capabilities. Let's just cut across live to Tokyo, where the two leaders will be holding a press conference, after the meet.
The Japan-US summit this time, in this context, was more important than ever in respect of 2 points. For one, we are currently faced with a crisis that shakes the foundation of international order, which is Russia's aggression against Ukraine. To defend resolutely free and open international order based on the rule of law, unity amongst allies and like-minded countries are required utmost now than any other. Another thing is that the challenge of ensuring peace and prosperity of the Indo-Pacific region is the most important strategic issue for the international community. And Japan and the United States are sought to take on leadership role. In this sense, we highly value the visit by President Biden to Japan, as it powerfully demonstrates United States' enhanced engagement in this part of the region. Also, together with President Biden, we would like to make tomorrow's Quad Summit a sure success. Based on this common awareness, today, frank and useful discussion took place on matters of international community. First, on Russia's egregious aggression, unilateral attempt to change the status quo by force is totally unacceptable, regardless of location. We reaffirm to respond resolutely together with the international community, including G7. Also, confirmation was made to support fully the government and people of Ukraine. We also discussed the impact the Ukraine situation could give on the Indo-Pacific. For China, we concur to monitor closely recent activities of Chinese Navy and joint military exercise of China and Russia, and strongly oppose the attempt to change status quo by force in East China Sea and South China Sea, and Japan and the United States to closely cooperate on responding to China-related issues, including human rights. Also, we affirmed that our two countries' basic position on Taiwan remains to be unchanged, and underscored the importance of peace and stability of Taiwan Straits, which is an indispensable element for peace and prosperity of international community, and called for peaceful resolution of cross-strait issue. On DPRK, sharing the serious concern over nuclear and missile issues, including the launch of ICBM-class ballistic missiles, Japan and the United States and Japan-US ROK to cooperate even more closely was affirmed. Toward immediate resolution of abduction issue, I reiterated my request for full understanding and cooperation. President Biden extended his strong support. After this, President Biden will be meeting with family members of the abductees. At a time when regional security environment is becoming more severe, with President Biden, we reaffirmed the need to quickly reinforce the deterrence and response capability of Japan-US alliances. I stated my determination to fundamentally reinforce Japan's defense capabilities and secure a substantial increase of its defense budget needed to effect it. President Biden strongly supported my determination. We also concurred to expand and deepen security and defense cooperation between Japan and the United States. Further, President Biden reiterated his commitment to Japan's defense and to make sure that extended deterrence will remain unwavering. We concur to keep in close touch, including on the ministerial level, between our two countries. In addition, to alleviate impact on local communities of Okinawa and others, we also concur to steadfastly implement U.S. forces in Japan realignment, including construction in Henoko of replacement facilities for Futenma Air Station. And because situation around nuclear weapons are getting severe, we also concur to advance realistic and effective efforts on nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation and work toward the world without nuclear weapons.
Engagement in the Indo-Pacific by the United States, and especially in the economic order, is becoming ever more important. Japan welcomes the launch of the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, IPEF, by President Biden and will participate and cooperate in this initiative. Having said so, Japan hopes to see the United States return to the TPP from a strategic perspective. Also, in order to expand and deepen Japan-US economic cooperation, we agreed to hold the ministerial level Japan-US Economic Policy Consultative Committee, the so-called Economic 2+2, coming July. Further, we concurred on cooperation in economic security, including the development of advanced semiconductors and specific cooperation regarding space. With Russia's aggression of Ukraine severely damaging the situation over energy and food, we confirmed that we shall respond through coordination with the G7 and like-minded nations, as well as with international organizations. Through such cooperation, Japan and the United States hopes to engage in initiatives to realize a sustainable and inclusive socio-economic environment. Regarding the new form of capitalism which I am proposing, President Biden reconfirmed his strong support. By cooperating with President Biden, who is promoting policies that focus on the middle class, we hope to create a major global trend of common economic policies among major countries. We also exchanged views on global health, cancer research, climate change, protection and promotion of human rights and democracy, and other global challenges, and agreed that our two countries should lead efforts of the international community in such areas. Further, I express the necessity to reform and strengthen the United Nations, including the Security Council, which bears an important responsibility for the peace and security of the international community, and gained President Biden's support. The President stated that the United States will support Japan becoming a permanent member of a reformed Security Council. The Pacific Ocean does not separate Japan and the United States. Rather, it unites us. Those are the words delivered by President Kennedy to Prime Minister Ikeda, which resonate with amplified weight in today's context. I conveyed the importance of human resources development and people-to-people exchange towards a free and open Indo-Pacific, and President Biden concurred. Japan will hold the presidency of the G7 next year. As the world faces an unprecedented challenge caused by Russia's aggression of Ukraine and the heightened risk of use of weapons of mass destruction, at next year's G7 summit, I hope we can demonstrate the will of the G7 to resolutely reject aggression by force, threat by nuclear weapons, and attempts to overturn the international order with a strength that will make a mark in history. As the Prime Minister of Japan, the only country to have ever suffered atomic bombings, I believe there is no other venue as fitting as Hiroshima to demonstrate our commitment to peace. I hope that we can vow to the world that mankind will never cause the catastrophe brought about by nuclear weapons, that President Biden and other leaders of the G7 will together confirm in front of the Peace Memorial our solidarity to defend peace, global order, and values. I explained such plans to the President, and we reaffirmed that next year's G7 summit will be held in Hiroshima and that we shall work together for its success. Today, as an outcome of our meeting, we decided to issue a joint statement. This statement is the joint strategy of Japan and the United States as we keep in mind the current situation in Ukraine and the strategic importance of the Indo-Pacific, and aim to uphold and develop a free and open international order. Under the current situation of international affairs, which may be described as the end of the post-Cold War era, the true value of the Japan-US alliance is being tested more stringently than ever before in order to realize a free and open Indo-Pacific and to establish a free and open rules-based international order. Japan and the United States will engage in utmost efforts with irreversible resolve. I look forward to furthering our partnership with President Biden.
Joe, ありがとうございます。
Thank you, Joe.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much. I now would like to give the floor to President Biden of the United States of America.
Prime Minister, for that warm welcome you've given me here in Japan. In recent years, the alliance between Japan and the United States has grown stronger, deeper, and more capable as we work together to take on the challenges just as important as the opportunities of a rapidly changing world. A great example of this, we viewed Japan's lunar rover just coming out here before, after lunch, a symbol of how our space cooperation is taking off, looking toward the moon and to Mars. And I'm excited the work we'll do together on the Gateway Station around the moon, and look forward to the first Japanese astronaut joining us in the mission to the lunar surface under the Artemis program. And tomorrow, we're going to meet with our fellow Quad partners, Australia and India, for our 4th Leaders Summit and our 2nd time meeting together in person. The Quad is showing the world that cooperation among democracies can get big things done, and I'm grateful for your leadership. And thank you for bringing us all together again to keep driving our progress as we advance a positive vision for the future of the Indo-Pacific region. Today, we made several commitments to further increase our bilateral cooperation. and to work together to ensure a free and open Indo-Pacific that creates opportunity and prosperity for all the people in the region. Through our comprehensive and resilience partnership, which we announced last year, we're in a situation now that we've invested our cooperation to spur innovation while delivering concrete progress for our people. Promoting a secure 5G network, improving internet connectivity for our partners in the region, improving critical infrastructure, and strengthening supply chain resilience, particularly on semiconductors, batteries, and critical minerals. Responding to COVID-19 and building a greater health security and stronger health system is also part of the future. And helping the world prepare for the next pandemic with our new CDC regional office right here in Japan. Cooperating on clean energy and decarbonization to tackle the climate crisis. And after this, the United States and Japan, together with 11 other nations, will be launching the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. This framework is a commitment to working with our close friends and partners in the region on challenges that matter most to ensuring economic competitiveness in the 21st century, by improving security and trust in the digital economy, protecting workers, strengthening supply chains, and tackling corruption that robs nations of their ability to serve their citizens. You know, as the two largest democracies, the two largest economies in the democratic world, the United States and Japan are demonstrating the strength of democracies in action. Our cooperation has been particularly vital in organizing the global response to hold Putin accountable for his brutal war in Ukraine and his attack on the norms and principles that are the foundation of our international order. Mr. Prime Minister, you've been outstanding. You've been an outstanding partner throughout this crisis. And our unity in the G7 to impose economic costs on Russia and support the people of Ukraine is sending a strong message about our willingness to defend a rule-based international order. And I'm looking forward to continuing our discussions at the upcoming G7 summit in Germany and returning to Japan next year in 2023 for the G7 summit. And I welcome the Prime Minister's announcement the G7 summit will take place in his hometown of Hiroshima. Today, we also discuss ways to continue to strengthen our security cooperation. The United States remains fully committed to Japan's defense, and we welcome the opportunity to work more closely together in an increasingly challenging security environment. I applaud Prime Minister Kishida's determination to strengthen Japanese defense capabilities as well. A strong Japan and a strong U.S.-Japan alliance is a force for good in the region. I support the peace and stability that's going to continue and we hope to increase across the Taiwan Straits, promote freedom of navigation in the East and South China Seas, and to deter the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. So thank you again, Mr. Prime Minister, for your partnership and your friendship. The alliance between our two countries is stronger than it's ever been, and it's as important as it has ever been. I'm looking forward to exploring even more ways that our relationship will help move us toward a future that benefits all people. So thank you very much, Mr. President, and I really, truly appreciate your hospitality.
Thank you very much. We will now accept questions from the press. First, Japanese journalist. Appoint the journalist, and U.S. journalists will be appointed by President Biden. Please come to the closest microphone, identify yourself and your affiliation, and please be brief and clear in your questions. Due to infection prevention, please keep your facial masks when you deliver your question. Now, Japanese journalists, are there any questions? The front row, Yamamoto-san. TV Asahi, my name is Yamamoto. Prime Minister, President Biden, thank you very much. First to Prime Minister, With the Russian aggression of Ukraine, Prime Minister, you've been saying that security of Europe and security of the Indo-Pacific are inseparable. In today's meeting, did you talk about response to China? How did you analyze the current status of the cross-strait relations? Did the Japanese side or U.S. side explain how U.S. would respond in times of contingency? What was the request from the U.S. side regarding Japanese response to a contingency in cross-straits situation? Did you explain the defense budget increase or enemy-based strike capability? What did you explain in that context, Prime Minister?
Well, thank you for your question. First of all, at today's summit meeting, as regards Taiwan Strait issue that you asked, we confirmed that the basic stances of two countries on Taiwan remains to be unchanged and underscore the importance of peace and stability of Taiwan Strait, which is an indispensable element for security and prosperity of international community, and called upon peaceful resolution of cross-strait issues. Well, in the region, security-related environment is getting severer. Unilateral attempt to change status quo by force, like Russia's aggression against Ukraine this time, should never be tolerated in Indo-Pacific, above all in East Asia. It's indispensable to further strengthen Japan-US alliance. Based on this shared awareness, I have said that fundamentally reinforce Japan's defense capability, and I stated my determination to fundamentally reinforce Japan's defense capabilities and secure substantial increase of its defense budget needed to effect it, and President Biden strongly supported my determination. And also from myself, I have said that inclusive of what is called enemy-based strike capability, all the options will be there, not to exclude any one of them, and this is what I said to President. In Indo-Pacific region, as well as to ensure the peace and prosperity of the international community, the basis is the cornerstone of which is Japan-US alliance, and toward the further strengthening of the alliance, we like to remain in close coordination between Japan and the United States. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
To ask you about the economy. During your trip here to Asia, you've promoted the investments by Samsung and Hyundai, but back home in the United States, Americans are dealing with record high inflation. The Fed has raised interest rates to try to address those issues, and they're also just enormously high gas prices. Given the cross currents of the economy right now, the war in Ukraine, the China lockdowns that we've seen, should Americans be prepared for a recession? In your view, is a recession in the United States inevitable?
No.
Why not?
Look, you're talking about the significant progress we've made in making sure we don't have supply chain backups, about the 8,000 jobs that Hyundai is going to be bringing to Georgia, 3,000 jobs to Texas from Samsung, $17 billion investment, Toyota, 1,700 jobs in North Carolina on battery technology, the situation where we've created over 8 million new jobs, where unemployment's down to 3.6%, and so on and so forth, as if they're a problem. Imagine where we'd be with Putin's tax and the war in Ukraine had we not made that enormous progress. Where our GDP is going to grow faster than China's for the first time in 40 years. Now, does that mean we don't have problems? We do. We have problems that the rest of the world has, but less consequential than the rest of the world has them because of our internal growth and strength. Here's the situation. And when it comes to the gas prices, we're going through an incredible transition that is taking place that, God willing, when it's over, will be stronger and the world will be stronger and less reliant on fossil fuels when this is over. You see what Europe is doing relative to the importation of Russian gas. You see what, anyway, I won't go through it all, but, and what I've been able to do to keep it from getting even worse, and it's bad. The price of gas at the pump is something that I told you, heard me say before, would be a matter of great discussion at my kitchen table when I was a kid growing up. It's affecting a lot of families. But we have released over 257,000 million barrels of oil, I should say, us and the rest of the world we're convinced to get involved. It's helped, but it's not been enough. We also find ourselves in a situation where we have food shortages. Food shortages because of Ukraine. There are literally millions of...
All right, so that, of course, is the joint press briefing with the American President Joe Biden along with the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida there. Remember, Joe Biden is in Tokyo for the crucial Quad summit that will, of course, take place tomorrow. This, of course, was a meeting that was held before the crucial Quad summit. The two nations have reiterated their joint stance on taking the relationship between the two of them, the very close relationship that they enjoy forward. Remember, Japan and the United States of America share a very close equation, and that is, of course, is what is being taken forward from here. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.